2002, a man checked a piece of paper and realized he had just become a multimillionaire. $14 million. Not a raise, not a bonus, not a maybe one day. A financial meteor that lands in your life with zero warning and changes everything in a single breath. And here's the part that makes this story unforgettable. 5 years later, he was broke. Not less rich, not down a little. Broke. 14 million to zero. This isn't just a story about money. It's a story about what money does to your brain when it arrives too fast, before your habits, your identity, and your decision-making can catch up. Because the real danger isn't the spending. The real danger is the feeling that it will never end. Everyone thinks the lottery is the finish line. Like once you win, life becomes permanently easy. But for a lot of people, the lottery isn't a finish line. It's a stress test. It doesn't reveal who you are when you're poor. It reveals who you become when you suddenly don't have to think about consequences. Before the headlines, before the cameras, before the congratulations, he was normal. Bills, stress, a job that paid enough to survive but not enough to breathe. The kind of life where you do math in your head at the grocery store and tell yourself, next month will be better. And then one day the numbers hit. We'll call him Mark. Mark didn't have a plan. Mark had a number, and when that last number matched, his whole world split into two timelines. The life before money and the life after money. At first it felt like pure magic. He didn't walk, he floated. He smiled at strangers. Strangers smiled back. His shoulders sat differently. His voice sounded calmer. Even his silence felt confident, like the world owed him time now. In the first few hours, he didn't even think about what to buy. No more late fees. No more dodging unknown calls. No more praying the car would start in the morning. No more maybe next year. Sudden wealth doesn't just give you money. It gives you relief. And relief is powerful. Relief makes you feel like you're finally safe. But relief can also make you careless. Because safety is the moment your brain stops scanning for danger. It relaxes. It celebrates. It assumes the threat is gone forever. Then the calls started. Not gradually. Immediately. Family, friends, people he hadn't spoken to in years, people he barely recognized, people who had never cared about his life until the second it became valuable. Everyone had a story, and everyone had a need. At first, Mark felt generous. Of course he did. He told himself it wasn't even charity. It was love. It was loyalty. It was finally being able to do what he always wished he could. He bought gifts. He paid off a few debts. He picked up checks without looking at the total. And the praise was addictive. You have to understand something. When you've been overlooked your whole life, being needed feels like being loved. So the generosity didn't stop. It escalated. Because every time Mark helped someone, he got something back. Gratitude, attention, a feeling of importance. And for someone who spent years feeling invisible, that emotional reward can become more tempting than the money itself. This is the first trap. People imagine losing money as a numbers problem, but the real problem is emotional. Mark wasn't buying things. He was buying a feeling. I matter now. And the more he spent, the more people proved it by showing up. Then Mark did what most people do when they get money fast. He upgraded his life in public. A nicer car, a bigger place, better clothes, better dinners, better everything. And it felt responsible at first, because he wasn't thinking, I'm being reckless. He was thinking, I'm finally living. And the world encouraged it. Friends said, you deserve it. Family said, don't be cheap now. Strangers said, if I won, I'd do the same thing. There's a strange thing that happens when you get rich overnight. People start treating your money like it's not real, like it came from magic, so it can be spent like magic. No one tells you to slow down. because your spending becomes entertainment for them. And Mark believed the story too. 14 million felt infinite. It didn't feel like a pile that could shrink. It felt like a fountain. But the problem is, your brain adapts. There's a term for it: hedonic adaptation. It means your mind gets used to good things quickly, so the thrill fades faster than you think. What feels like a dream on day 1 becomes normal by day 30. And when normal changes, your spending doesn't feel like spending anymore. It feels like maintaining your life. That's the second trap. Lifestyle inflation doesn't arrive like a villain. It arrives like comfort, like, this is just how I live now. And once you cross that line, going back doesn't feel like budgeting. It feels like humiliation. Mark's new life had a price tag, and it wasn't just the big purchases. It was the small ones too. The daily habits that quietly become expensive: nicer restaurants, spontaneous trips, upgraded groceries, more subscriptions, more treat-yourself moments. When you're not counting, the small leaks don't feel dangerous, until they're everywhere. Meanwhile, the pressure got louder. The requests became more confident, more frequent, more emotional. It's for a business idea. It's just a loan. You can afford it. If you really cared, you'd help. Don't forget where you came from. And notice how these conversations never end with, "Take care of yourself." They end with, "Prove it." Mark started saying yes to keep the peace, and every yes made the next request easier to ask. This is the third trap, when your relationships become transactions. Because the moment people know you have money, some of them stop seeing you as a person. They start seeing you as a solution. And Mark didn't want to be the villain. He didn't want to be called selfish. He didn't want family drama, guilt trips, or cold shoulders at gatherings. So he paid. He paid to avoid conflict. He paid to stay loved. He paid to keep everyone happy. But here's the brutal truth. You can't buy peace permanently. You can only rent it. Then came the investments. This is where the story turns from fun into fatal, because when people get money fast, they feel smart fast. They confuse luck with ability. Mark started hearing words like opportunity, guaranteed, low risk, high return. He didn't understand the deals, but he understood the emotion, the fear of missing out. So he said yes. Yes to a friend's business. Yes to a cousin's can't-fail plan. Yes to the guy who talked fast and dressed expensive. Yes to the advisor who spoke in complicated language, because complicated language sounds like expertise when you're new. And the scary part? Some of those investments probably paid out early. Just enough to build confidence. Just enough to make Mark think, "See, I've got this." That's another psychological trap. Your first win makes you feel like your next win is inevitable. It's the same reason people win once at a casino and suddenly believe they've cracked the system. But money doesn't care how confident you feel. Then reality started sending bills, taxes. Lottery winnings aren't a magical pool of free cash. They come with a silent partner, the government. And depending on where you live, that partner can take a massive cut. So while Mark was spending like he had 14 million, he didn't actually have 14 million. He had less than that from day one. And taxes don't care about your new car. Taxes don't care about your new house. Taxes don't care that you already spent it. Taxes are a deadline with teeth. And the more he spent, the more complicated everything got. New house means maintenance. New cars mean insurance. New lifestyle means new monthly payments. And that's the fourth trap. When your one-time money becomes monthly obligations, sudden wealth is like a loud party. But bills are quiet. They don't celebrate. They don't take pictures. They just show up on time, every time. At some point, Mark's money stopped feeling like a fortune and started feeling like a treadmill. Because he wasn't spending to improve his life anymore. He was spending to keep up with the version of himself he had already revealed to the world. And once that happens, you're trapped by your own image. You can't downgrade without admitting you were wrong. You can't slow down without facing the fear that maybe it wasn't infinite after all. Then the people around him changed. Not because money changes people, because money reveals people. Some were genuinely happy for him. Others saw him as a walking ATM. And Mark couldn't tell the difference. Because when you're new to wealth, you don't know that attention is not the same as respect. And you don't realize that some people aren't asking for help. They're testing your boundaries. The minute you say yes, they learn what you're willing to tolerate. And if you keep saying yes, they keep asking. It took time, but eventually the cracks became visible. The investments didn't keep paying, the loans didn't come back. The business ideas failed. And Mark kept spending, not out of joy anymore, but out of denial. Because by then, his spending wasn't about fun. It was about protecting the image. And that's the fifth trap, the performance of wealth. When you build a rich identity in public, you feel forced to keep performing it. Even when you're drowning, you smile. Even when you're stressed, you act unbothered. Even when the account is shrinking, you keep ordering like it's still growing. Then one day, the math catches up. Not all at once. At first, it's small warning signs, fees, missed payments, uncomfortable calls. Then it becomes bigger, selling things, restructuring, borrowing. Then it becomes the moment people dread, the collapse. And then it happened. The phone got quiet, not slowly, instantly. When the money is gone, the crowd disappears like it was never real. The friends stop inviting you out. The business partners stop answering. The family members who swore they'd always be there suddenly have their own problems. And Mark is left with something worse than being broke. He's left with the emotional hangover. The shame, the confusion, the question that plays on loop in his head. How did I lose something that big? And the answer is the psychological lesson of this entire episode. Sudden wealth is not financial intelligence. Income is not wisdom. A big number in your account doesn't upgrade your decisions. It just increases the consequences of your mistakes. Mark didn't lose money because he was stupid. He lost money because he was human. He got hit with the oldest traps on earth: status, pressure, overconfidence, and the slow poison of lifestyle inflation. And here's the part most people don't want to admit. If you put 14 million in the hands of the average person tomorrow, without preparation, without boundaries, without a plan, the same story would repeat more often than we'd like to believe. Because the lottery doesn't just give you money. It gives you a faster life than your mind is built to handle. It gives you choices before you've built the discipline to choose well. And it gives you an audience before you've built the strength to say no. So in the next part, we're going to break down exactly how this happens step by step, how the celebration turns into spending, how spending turns into obligation, and how obligation turns into collapse. Because if you understand Mark's story, you'll understand something most people never learn until it's too late. Money doesn't fix your life, it amplifies it. And if you don't upgrade your mindset before you upgrade your lifestyle, the lifestyle will win.